The Metaverse. The Metaverse is a digitally simulated, immersive universe that mediates the user's social interactions, work life, entertainment, fitness, commerce, education, and more. Who is behind this platform? The company we knew as Facebook. On October 28, 2021, Facebook Inc. announced its rebranded title as Meta Platform Inc., known as Meta for short, marking their transition towards a new kind of social technology based on augmented and virtual reality. In his virtual keynote, CEO Mark Zuckerberg delivered his vision of Meta's brand new platform called the Metaverse. Zuckerberg pitches the metaverse as a natural evolution in internet technology and that it's the social technology that, quote, needs to be invented.
Today, we're going to talk about the metaverse. I want to share what we imagine is possible, the experiences you'll have, the creative economy we'll all build, and the technology that needs to be invented.
But can we and should we so readily accept his vision? In this video essay, I will use sociological theories on cyberspace to deconstruct Meta's vision of a disembodied social world and critique the potential social and power relations coming out of this corporate platform. Why is sociology helpful to the study of the metaverse? Even before the introduction of the World Wide Web in 1989, social scientists have been debating the influence of new technologies on the individual body and society as a whole. Unlike engineers and scientists, sociologists study the internet not just as a tool that people use, but rather a space people inhabit and create relations and practices of their own. This is best illustrated by Christine Hines' framework that the internet is a culture, not a cultural artifact, and as a culture, it has a social space in its own right, rather than being an object used in other spaces. Based on that premise, scholars have studied the ways in which internet space, or cyberspace, facilitates unique forms of social relationships, power, identity, communication, and more. With that in mind, we can extend a sociological lens to understand what kind of a world the metaverse may be and how theories of cyberspace may inform the future. With that in mind, we can extend a sociological lens to understand what kind of a world the metaverse may be and how theories of cyberspace inform the future. First, we must understand. What is the metaverse? Or more precisely, how does Mark Zuckerberg want us to understand his vision of the metaverse? Let's listen to his keynote.
When you play a game with your friends, you'll feel like you're right there together in a different world, not just on your computer by yourself. And when you're in a meeting in the metaverse, it'll feel like you're right in the room together, making eye contact, having a shared sense of space, and not just looking at a grid of faces on a screen. That's what we mean by an embodied internet. Instead of looking at a screen, you're going to be in these experiences.
Embodied internet, that's our keyword. In the dictionary, the word embodiment means to incorporate the body. Notice how Zuckerberg's examples emphasize a sense of physical presence of interacting with others in the flesh. Compared to our current forms of internet use, such as taking a Zoom class or FaceTiming a friend from afar, Zuckerberg's examples of virtual and augmented reality may appear to incorporate bodily movements more than its previous iterations. But if the metaverse is more embodied than the mobile internet, does that mean it is no longer disembodied? I argue that no. The metaverse is still a disembodied technology, and in some ways, an even more deceptively disembodied technology than the current internet. The concept of disembodiment has a rich definition in contemporary sociological canon. According to Rudnicki, the sociological theory of disembodiment conceptualizes the body and self as separate entities. This extends from Descartes' philosophical concept of substance dualism, that the physical body and non-physical mind are two completely different types of substances. As Descartes famously once said, "I think, therefore I am," privileging the non-physical mind as proof that the self exists. The metaverse, which uses immersive AR and VR tech, perpetuates the same idea of mind over matter, that the mind can simulate and control the experience of physical presence. The very design of VR encourages the user to pretend that visualized objects, such as their own and their friend's body, is present. This pretending enforces the idea that the body and mind can be separated and carried across different spaces at will. The metaverse wants us to believe that bodily presence can be replicated non-physically, so the new Cartesian phrase in the metaverse may as well be, I think through a VR headset, therefore I am in the VR world. In other words, metaverse users will perform embodiment based on the premise that the body and mind can be separated. It is still a disembodied experience. What's worse, by being encouraged to pretend this performative embodiment is as good as offline, real, embodied life, the metaverse deceptively detaches us from our bodies even more. So, given this AR and VR tech that performs embodiment, what are the implications of disembodiment on social relationships and community in the metaverse? After all, Meta brands itself as a social technology company, and Zuckerberg states that connecting with people is the most important experience of all. What Meta is trying to do is nothing new in the eyes of scholars who have studied information technology in the context of modernity and capitalism. Craig Calhoun argued in 1992 that one of the main features of the modern age is the increasing prevalence of indirect social relationships, defined as distanced in time and space, mediated through large-scale markets, administrative organizations, and information technology, and these relationships make up society at large. We will return to the point of corporate ownership later, but for now, let's hone in on indirect social relationships. Zuckerberg presents an optimistic vision that the metaverse will bring people together by enabling such indirect social relationships on a new scale. Let's watch a segment of his keynote, which illustrates how a gathering of friends may play out.
Hey, are you coming?
Yeah, just gotta find something to wear. All right, perfect.
Oh, hey, Mark.
Hey, what's going on?
Hi.
Mark. What's up, Mark?
Whoa, we're floating in space?
Uh-huh.
Who made this place? It's awesome.
Right? It's from a creator I met in LA.
This place is amazing.
Boz, is that you?
Of course it's me. You know I had to be the robot, man.
I thought I was supposed to be the robot.
Whoa.
I knew you were bluffing.
Hey, wait. Where is Naomi?
Let's call her.
Naomi.
Hey, should we deal you in?
Sorry, I'm running late, but you've got to see what we're checking out. There's an artist going around Soho hiding AR pieces for people to find.
3D street art? That's cool.
Send that link over so we can all look at it. This is stunning.
That is something.
That's awesome.
Oh, I love the movement.
Wait, it's disappeared.
This is amazing.
Hold on, I'll tip the artist and they'll extend it.
Wow. Brilliant. If you guys like it here, I have another room that you're gonna love. Check out this forest room.
Huh, let's see it.
Koi fish that fly? That's new.
This is wild. Hey, one sec, Boz. It's Priscilla.
Hey, you have to see this. Beast is going crazy.
Oh, I love that guy. We've got to show that to the kids. Can you also send that to my dad?
I'll message him.
All right, see you at home.
According to Zuckerberg, the key characteristics of the metaverse are the ability to visualize bodily presence and see avatars that show body language and physical style.
First, the feeling of presence. This is the defining quality of the metaverse. You're going to really feel like you're there with other people. You'll see their facial expressions, you'll see their body language, maybe figure out if they're actually holding a winning hand. All the subtle ways that we communicate that today's technology can't quite deliver. Next, there are avatars, and that's how we're going to represent ourselves in the metaverse. Avatars will be as common as profile pictures today, but instead of a static image, they're going to be living 3D representations of you. Your expressions, your gestures, that are going to make interactions much richer than anything that's possible online today.
Paying attention to these two features shows that the creators of the metaverse are very aware of how body movement and body presentation signals cues that are important to creating meaningful social relationships and having social interactions. It addresses some of the key concerns that early critics had regarding communities and social relations in cyberspace starting in the 1990s. Some scholars argue that being anonymous and lacking a bodily presence on the internet could cause less sympathy towards others and increase egos, overall contributing to a moral erosion in human relationships. Interestingly, the same qualities, like being anonymous and being separated, were argued by other scholars as the source of a liberating and equalizing experience. For instance, feminist scholars highlight cyberspace communities as a possible arena of fluid self expression that is less restricted by inequality and oppression, enabling a collective political transformation. Whether the social relations in the metaverse will cause division or liberation is a difficult question to answer without zooming out to the larger context. Thinking outside of the features of the platform itself, we must remember a crucial fact. This social world is owned by a private corporation. How does this fact shape power relations? Before Meta, there was Facebook.
New documents leaked by insiders regarding the January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol.
A month before Meta announced its new brand, Facebook was under fire due to the release of the Facebook Files, a Wall Street Journal investigation based on internal documents leaked by whistleblower Frances Haugen, which revealed that Facebook was aware of systematic harms caused by the platform, such as harming teen mental health and spreading vaccine misinformation, but did not act to fix it. In fact, they earned profit from it.
I think one of the most dangerous things about things like engagement-based ranking, so that's the idea of prioritizing content based on its likelihood of provoking a reaction, is it is much easier to inspire someone to hate than it is to compassion or empathy.
Strong negative emotions increase engagement and attention, and for a social media company structured around ad revenue, the user's attention, not necessarily their well-being, is what makes money. Facebook may have changed their brand name, but their business model is still the same. They have done little to address the controversies raised by the Facebook files, and rather diverted the attention to the vision for their new platform, which is the Metaverse. As though Zuckerberg is conscious of this ongoing criticism of maximizing the attention of its users to the point of harm, he mentions this in his keynote.
This isn't about spending more time on screens. It's about making the time that we already spend better.
However, it's hard to believe that the metaverse will be operated very differently from Facebook. Meta fundamentally profits from higher engagement on their platform, so they will design ways to maximize the time users spend in the metaverse by making the platform as addictive as possible. Furthermore, Meta will be in the position of power through the data it collects from the body of its users. Zuckerberg implies this when describing the functionality of the VR headsets that connects the users to the VR world.
New ways of interacting with devices that are much more natural. Instead of typing or tapping, you're going to be able to gesture with your hands, say a few words, or even just make things happen by thinking about them.
In order to have such a seamless user experience, the VR headset will monitor and surveil data released from the user's body and collect an immense amount of personal data, even the user's thoughts, using whatever technology it takes. This reflects a modern digital version of Michel Foucault's concept of biopower, which is defined as the administrative and regulatory leverage one has over the human body on the population level. Biopower was historically manifested on the government level, where states would exercise their power through regulation of health or sexuality. Today, it is now corporations that possess this form of power through information technology that directly monitors, surveils, and influences the bodies of its consumers. Mark Zuckerberg may frame the metaverse as the next stage of social technology, but underlying that, it is the next stage of profit making through the unprecedented ownership of bodies, or the next stage of biopower. So, in conclusion, let's bring everything back together. When we deconstruct Zuckerberg's optimistic pitch, what we see is a disembodied social world facilitated by a corporate institution whose interest is to addict us to the platform. Meta's immersive technologies, such as AR and VR, mimic bodily presence through physical and visual immersion, but by pretending this performative embodiment is real, or as good as real, we are further detached from what grounds us to ourselves and to each other, and that is our bodies. Mark Zuckerberg and other billionaires convince us that their vision of the future is inevitable, and that it is as natural as evolution.
In the next 5 or 10 years, a lot of this is going to be mainstream. And a lot of us will be creating and inhabiting worlds that are just as detailed and convincing as this one on a daily basis.
But this is not true unless we believe it and passively allow them to define the terms of the future of our society. When we lose our bodies, we lose who we are. Perhaps the future we need is not one with technologies that better mimic the body, but one where we are truly in touch with ourselves and each other.